What is going on, everyone? Tim from Tearphone Orbital. Unfortunately, I have a CFX build to go over with you today. I'm sorry. It's just become a thing in the community that I just don't like CFX. It's an inferior board. Anyway, all joking aside, it's not. It's CFX is a fantastic board. I just don't. There are two camps, right? There's the proffie camp and there's the CFX camp. Both are very, very amazing, amazing premium boards. I just like proffie, right? So it's just become a thing with me where people just know. No, I don't always enjoy doing CFX builds. With that being said, I will always do them. I think honestly, it's probably just a matter of me biting the bullet and just taking the time to learn more about CFX and the config process. The Crystal Focus app is super handy, but to me, it's just not easy to navigate. I know that there's a GUI, but to me, it's just not. It's not friendly. It's not friendly. They throw a lot of information at you, and it's just, yeah. So anyhow, yeah, give me line of code any day, and I'll just be able to scan through it. For some reason, just having a GUI is harder for me. Anyhow, so I'm not going to complain about CFX for this video. I want to go over this hilt. This is a custom TCSS or the custom Saber shop build by the client. So the client made this hilt. He weathered it himself. He actually did want some custom shroud work. Now he sent this shroud off to Jeremy at the Saber Merchant, and Jeremy did a really, really rad job on this shroud. Super unique shroud. So yeah, there's some other touches on the hilt that I'll talk about, but we'll also go over the chassis and do a demo and all that stuff like we usually do, right? So no more complaining about CFX. Not that I really was anyway. So let's talk about the chassis, right? Let's come into Fusion. Here's the chassis for this particular build. So this is a static chassis. Greebly work along both sides. CFX does sit in here. Look at my Greeblies poking through the wall there. So CFX sits in this tray, okay, and the CFX lives in that tray. Now, one of the prerequisites from the client was that he was able to have board and SD access through the bottom of the hilt. So we wanted to do a speaker pod, and I also wanted to make sure that he could easily just remove the pommel and get at his board. So I was able to do that just by making the CFX live in this area, okay? So this is the first rendition of this chassis. The final, this arc isn't even here. I really was not comfortable with how close this was. This probably would have broken off at some point. So I revised the chassis, and there's no top arc on the final rendition, right? Around the bottom, so here's the speaker pod for this. I did put Scavenger in Arbesh down here. That's for the client. It's clients, the Curly and Scavenger on Instagram. So I put Scavenger in Arbesh on the top cap of the speaker pod, and that just sits in the pommel and lives in the pommel, right? Nice and simple. Up top, we bring all our leads out the top, and it's secured to the top of the hilt with a set screw, right? So let's come up top to the hilt. So here it is. Super, super uniquely designed hilt. Again, this came to me already weathered by the client. Really, really nicely done. Here is that custom shroud from Jeremy at the Saber Merchant. Not easy to do these cuts, guys and gals. Not easy. Especially not easy to get them even on both sides by hand. I mean, that's not easy to do. I know that because I've tried. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. So Jeremy did a really rad job with this shroud, right? So we'll start at the bottom. Pommel unscrews, obviously. The client did request that I attach a brass CoverTech wheel to this hilt. So this is threaded into the body of the hilt. So that's not going anywhere. Nice and secure. You'll be able to run around Galaxy's Edge with your hilt if you want to. Just make sure you don't drop the hilt before you get on Space Mountain. So here's the control box. So the control box was also sent to me by the client. It was already affixed to the top of the hilt. However, we did want to get working buttons underneath this clamp card. So I'll just slide it up really quick. I did create a custom switch holder that sits in the bottom of the control box, and that's got two very small brass tacks in it, okay? And that's how you get your main and your aux. Some really, really cool greeblies that the client did around the top. There, we've got two Graflex, both types of Graflex pins up top here. Actually, this one's a little loose. Might want to put some super glue on these and then thread them, or thread lock. Knurled thumb screw. This is your blade retention. The client also wanted a custom blade plug. So I did a custom blade plug for this build. Just some parts I had lying around, made a custom one for it, right? And that's it. So let's talk about how to use the hilt. I don't believe I put a battery in this already. So you want to unscrew your grip. Oh, there is a battery in there. Look at that. So let's just look at the chassis really quick. Here is the chassis. I did do some buff and rub treatment on this and added some Tamiya pigments just to make it look more oil stained and weathered. And that's it. So actually, yes, something different about this build. Negative is towards the emitter. Just take note of that. You want to be putting your battery in, flat part towards the emitter, and just slide it in. So that CFX was already on. You see that red light. And then you slide your grip on. So I want to talk about this pommel here. So here's the pommel. Speaker pod lives in there. 28 millimeter speaker, was able to jam that in there. And there's the kill switch and board access down there, right? So there is a kill switch on this. Even though it's not necessarily needed with CFX, I just always like having kill switches when possible for peace of mind, right? So anyway, you hit your kill switch, turn it on, and you're ready to go. Top button is your main. And there we go. Let's come down here. So let's put a blade in it really quick and do a demo. To the client, I'm sure you know how to put a blade in, so just make sure you're not getting crazy with it, jamming it in there. Tighten our thumb screw, and then we're ready to go. So these are just, this was my backup config as far as blade styles go. These are just the ones that I had on hand.
Sound bank selection. Master crack on. Second sister. Outstanding.
So these are just the stock ones that I had. But to the client, you'll obviously be able to do whatever blade styles you want with that Crystal Focus app. One more, let's try.
Sound bank selection. Second
I'm gonna edit the swing time on that. Yeah. I'm so used to proffie. I'm used to twisting on and twisting off, which you can do on CFX now with the new updated code rev. But yeah, that's it. That's all we got. To the client, thank you very much for trusting me with another one of your builds. This is definitely a really, really rad hilt. So well done on the design. I always really love seeing what comes from people's minds with the custom Saber shops parts and Saber Builder. I feel like it's a resource that not many people take advantage of. You can do so much. I mean, even I didn't even really go over this in detail, but my recent speeder hilt is 90% custom Saber shop parts, right? The pommel, the claws, the emitter, it's all custom Saber shop. So just a fantastic resource for people that have the patience to navigate their website that's from 1993. So anyhow, thank you very much to the client again for trusting me with this build. To the viewers, if anyone has any questions about this particular build or anything at all, don't be a stranger. And with that being said, you know what? May the crystal focus be with you. Sometimes. Thanks for watching, everybody.